sweet. We can get started. I'm super
Cool.
excited to chat with you. So
Yeah,
like
I'm
it's
excited too.
because yeah, like in the last few months, I've like kind of discovered your music through like Spotify and stuff.
Oh my
And I'm just
God.
like, how the fuck? I'm like, how did I not know that like about you earlier?
Dude, I can't tell you I don't know if this is just like the world making me this person, but I am like the weirdest like discovered not discovered person. I feel
So
like on
crazy.
Spotify and on like TikTok and all these things. Like cuz obviously like I have like a little built following, like on TikTok or whatever, but like every time somebody's like, I don't know how I've never known you. Like I get it
Oh,
all the time. It's insane. So I mean, it's cool, but it's also I'm like, I want to be discovered.
oh, of course. Yeah, it's just so funny because yeah, like when I looked you up afterwards, like go on Instagram and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, look how many like followers you
I
have and
know,
shit. I was like, how is it like this makes no sense.
I know, it's crazy. I'm still pretty convinced that I'm shadow banned. I don't know why, because all I do is
Weird.
post like low key music that's very kid friendly. So I have no idea. There's probably somebody up the top that just decided one day that I did something they didn't like, maybe. But
Hmm.
anyways, all that to be said, yeah, I get that all the time. It's like I'm the most like underground somehow person.
Yeah, but then when you look at like your following and stuff, you're like, this makes
No,
no sense. Like
it
the
makes no
numbers don't
sense.
match.
It doesn't. Oh God, it's the bane of my existence. Anyways, I'm glad Spotify's algorithm worked this time, so that makes me really
Oh,
happy.
100%. Yeah, no, like yeah, I live for all the pop punk stuff and emo stuff. So yeah, no, it's awesome. And yeah, no, I guess one of the first questions I want to ask is like just with the name of this podcast, Basement Kids. Basically, it's like, nostalgia, music, all
Yeah.
that, but I named it that just because me growing up with my friends playing in a band, it was always like in my basement. That's where like we hung out. We went through everything together in like our basements and stuff.
Yeah.
So like you growing up, like where was your guys' hangout? Where did you guys kind of do
Ours
most of
was
your
like the
stuff?
garage because I grew up
Ah,
in California, right? So California, like we don't have basements like that. Like that's normally like a Midwest or like East Coast thing. Like my grandparents on the East Coast, they have a killer basement, super cool. It's like giving that '70s show. It's something that I always wanted but never had.
yeah.
But for us, it was like you were always kicking it in the garage. Like I remember growing up at like my cousins, we had like a whole built out thing in their garage. Like we had like even workout stuff. We had like
Oh yeah.
speakers and like it was just couches. It was like the hangout spot. We had a fridge in there with like Arizona iced teas and cactus coolers and like that was kind of that was kind of the vibe for us. So and
Nice.
then the rest of my life like I kind of until I got older, I really I grew up with a single parent, so like it was mostly apartments. So I would go to other
Oh,
people's houses and hang out in like garages and stuff, but never really had my own garage until a lot later. So
gotcha. Cool,
yeah.
cool. And like, so how did you get started? Like, when did you really dive deep into music growing up? Like, how old
Yeah.
would you say you were?
So my whole family is pretty musical. We all grew up like playing an instrument or singing, and it was all like everybody in my family like is works some way in like ministry. So we all grew up in church. We all grew up singing together. We all grew up playing together. I always make the joke that there's really only like a couple people in my family that are tone deaf, and like one of them's my cousin Blake. And I always shout out my cousin Blake. He's totally tone deaf. I mean, he had the spirit. He was willing. He was a willing soldier. Just God did not pick him. So
Unfortunately.
yeah, he definitely. There's been some times where we were like, Blake is just howling to the moon right now, and we're like, oh God, just let it go. But anyway, so yeah, I grew up in a very musical family. Like my mom sang, my dad played bass, my grandma like did a lot of opera. Like it was just all my cousins, everybody sang. So I think that's where it was like instilled. And then from there, it was like kind of discovering like my own taste for music. And growing up during the era of time that like we grew up in, it was like Blink 182, it was
Oh yeah.
Paramore, it was just like the main, like Boys Like Girls, like it was just all of that stuff. And so that definitely left like an imprint on me. And then my dad was like really into classic rock. So then I got really into like really big female vocals like Heart, Pat Benatar, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of like Katy Perry.
Oh, of course. Of
So,
course.
yeah, it was just, but Katy Perry was kind of rock when she first started on her like
This is
secular
true.
music.
This is true. Yeah,
Like
it's very
Hot and
true.
Cold, I Kissed a Girl. There was a lot of like rock elements because of Dr. Luke and things like that. So that was probably why I liked her to begin with. And then it was just such crazy pop albums that I was like, how can you not like this?
Yeah, pretty much, right? That's kind of the thing. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane but yeah, I feel like anyone our generation was grew up the same way. It was always like our parents with the classic rock, you grew up with that. And
Yep.
then you found your stuff, which was yeah, Blink, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, it's so weird because now it's like our classic rock in a way.
Right.
It's
Oh
just
God,
like
don't say that. Oh my
I don't
God.
like saying it, but it's just
Don't
like
say that.
for my son when he listens to it, he's gonna grow up and be like, oh yeah, my dad listened to like you know what I mean?
What are they gonna call it? I hope they don't call it classic rock, like classic
I have
punk. I mean, I
no
don't even
idea.
know.
I bet
What's
you
our
they'll use the
name for
word
that?
classic. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
oh
don't know what's gonna
God.
happen. Like, there's already terms like elder emos and stuff. I'm just like,
Yeah, dude,
it's
that's
already
every hashtag of mine's hashtag elder emo.
yeah, I'm just like, oh,
It
what's the
hurts me
future
every time
hold?
I put it. It hurts me every time I put it for sure. And then I'm like, well, maybe they're meaning like when it comes to millennials, there's an elder millennial of that. And I'm just gonna, for my own sanity, be like, there's somebody out there that's older than me, and this is for them.
Yeah, pretty much. Although yeah, I don't know. It's funny with our music. It doesn't feel, I guess, with the other bands like AC/DC, Metallica, all that. You know, maybe it was just a different time, but it's not like they were releasing so much music, right? They always had these large gaps, or they would go forever without a new album. But
Right.
like all the bands we listen to, they're always releasing new stuff,
Oh,
right? So
totally.
it's hard to kind of be dated when you're continuously just putting stuff out all the time.
Well, the thing is like I think we're getting actually back to it, but we went so many years with like losing like the art of the album. Like we kind of just lost that, like singles just became so popular.
Yeah.
People wanted to consume things in a very quick and like digestible way. And like, unless you were like a major artist that had the following to get your ROI back on how much money you paid on an album, like we kind of lost that because it just got so expensive. And then we moved into like more people were becoming independent artists, which is great. But then with that, you lose like the big machine of having the budget to put an album together. Like even for like an indie artist like myself, it's like each track is gonna cost me like probably close to 4 to 5 grand. And then if you times that by 12, that's 60 grand. And then you're like, well, hold on a second. Like, am I for sure going to get a return of my investment on this? Because if I'm not, then I just need to release singles until then, or maybe
Yeah.
an EP, like my EP like costed me like 30 grand, And so you're
Jeez.
like, that's a tough pill to swallow when you're like self-funding everything.
Yeah, it's definitely changed.
Yeah.
I miss those days of like you just had a bunch of CDs made, you'd sell
Yep.
them, you'd get your money back.
Oh, dude, I wish CD sales were back. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Do you remember standing in line for like a CD? Like you knew your
100%.
favorite artist was about to come out and you're like, I'm going to Target and I don't care if the line's out the door. I'm going to stand here and get this album. Like
Well,
people like,
that was
oh,
high school all the time. Like that, like me and
yes.
my bandmates when we were in high school, because I don't like maybe it was a Canadian thing, but like HMV was our store.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
we would go there and it was always like they had deals. It's like 2 for 20, 3 for 30. But that we would
Yep.
just like look at album covers and be like, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna check
I'm
those
just going to
guys out.
grab
That's how
it.
we
Yeah,
found music. It wasn't just like an algorithm on your phone.
totally. Oh yeah. What was like, do you remember like Borders? Borders is like mostly closed now, but it
No, I
was
don't
kind
know.
of it was kind of like it was kind of like Barnes and Noble a little bit.
Oh,
It
okay.
was same kind of vibe, but they had a whole section in there that was just like a music section, and you could go in and you could actually listen to albums. Like you could
Yep.
scan the album, and then they had headphones, and you could listen, so you can kind of like test it out before you bought it. But yeah, I can't tell you how many times there's like I still have my like 2000s, 90s like CD rack. You know, like the single rack that like
Yes.
stands up on itself. Like it's all alphabetized and everything. It's still in my room right now. But there's like albums in there that I'm like, I would have never discovered that artist if they didn't have some kind of deal like that. And I just saw like a really dope cover and I was like, there's got to be something good on here.
Oh yeah,
And they just
exactly.
tested it out, you know?
Well, I
Ah,
always
I
love
loved
just
it.
going through like the credits, the lyrics too, like in the little booklets. Oh,
Yes.
it's so much
Oh
fun,
my
like
gosh.
just
I
going through
can't
those.
tell you how many times I was like, oh, I can't tell you how many times I was like, that's the lyric. Like I had no
Yeah, you're
idea.
like, oh, I totally thought it was a
Right.
different word.
But the crediting too was just like, I don't know, you wanted to there was like you wanted to discover people. Like you wanted to find you wanted the pride to be able to say like, "Oh yeah, did you know so and
Yeah,
so wrote on this?" You know what I mean? Like you wanted to be able to say that. You wanted to be like, "No, that's not the lyric, it's this." Like you're not a real fan. Like, you know,
it's
like you
true.
wanted the pride to say it. And now
Yeah,
it's just kind of like put a good playlist together and then some people like, "Oh, what's that song?" You're like, "Ah, it's this." You're like, "Okay, moving on." You know, it's just
yeah.
like it's not there like it used to be. And I'm trying to bring it
No,
back. I'm trying to
yeah,
bring
I
it back.
know.
I'm trying to bring back the like, you know, the like don't give a crap like attitude and like who care like just who cares? Like people are so uh we're too sensitive now. Like the millennial
Oh
in me is
yeah,
like we're too sensitive. You know what I mean? Like screw PC culture. Like I like there's even like a part of me I was joking with my cousin the other day. I was like, "You know what? Like there's a part of me I might get a little flack for this, but there's a part of me that's like some people need to get bullied. Like
it's
some people
true.
need a
I
good,
agree with
you know what
you.
I mean? Like I can't tell you how many times like I thought something was cool and then somebody like made fun of me for it. I was like, "All right, that wasn't as cool as I thought it was." Like, you know, I'm going to not do that again. But like obviously like bullying got way out of hand and that definitely came from our section. But like there's some people out there right now that I'm like you either need to get your butt kicked or like you need a good bully.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you know, it's like it's
100%.
coming.
Well, that's the
So
thing too, right? Like with like, yes, bullying sucks, but you know when
right.
that happens too, like you develop some tough skin because like
Totally.
that's the world. Like if you're gonna try and
Right.
tiptoe through the world, like man, you everything's gonna bug you all the time.
Totally. And I just like I mean, not that I got like crazy bullied or anything like that. I mean, I probably did a little bit more when I was younger, but like I don't know, like my whole family, we all pretty like joke kind of rough, like for the most part. So like I kind of grew up in like an environment where it's like, you know, naturally you get a good sense of humor, like thick skin about you, like, you know, people are just joking and like whatever. But it's just like I don't know, there's something that just needs to be brought back in that and like I'm willing to do it. And just like not being bothered. Like I'm not bothered. Like I can't tell you I mean like we know the internet. Like there's so many like people that just comment like terrible things, like
Oh yeah.
just to try to like troll you or whatever. And like I've in the last like year or so I'm like before I wouldn't say anything and I would just like let my fans deal with it and like whatever and like but now I'm like that's not even my personality. Like if somebody said something to me like that in person, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, you like jokes. Cool."
Yeah.
And then I would just be like hitting them with the one-liners. So
Yeah.
now I've gone in this like mode where I'm like, "Cool, you're opening the platform. Let's have it out." And then just like
True
clapping
enough.
back.
Yeah.
So
I think
I think there's something good about being like able to have a thick skin and just being like I can't be bothered. Like I just am not bothered by like I remember somebody put like a whole on YouTube. They sent like a 2-3 paragraph thing of like you suck, you're a piece of garbage, like just going in on me, right? So I'm reading this stuff or whatever. I get like halfway through, I'm like, all right, whatever. Well, I realized about like 2 or 3 sentences in that they used the wrong form of there. And all I did was
gotcha.
commented back and just asterisk the right there. And it just like, dude, I'm not bothered by somebody that like I don't know. Like if you don't know me and I don't know you, like I could really care less if you like don't like me because you don't know me. What is that? What is that
No,
bother? That's not
exactly.
gonna
Just
be.
people who
Yeah.
want to. Yeah, I don't know. I've talked to so many people about like this exact topic, but it's just like yeah, like they. I don't know what's going on in their life, but like yeah, they gotta vent. They gotta do something, I guess, to make themselves feel better. It's
Yeah.
stupid,
They're
but
just
yeah,
alone in their
it's
bedroom and like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I always make the joke too, like, bro, if you spent half this amount of effort just trying to get a girl, like you would be 50 times happier. Like, because most of the time it's like dudes. Like every once in a while I'll get a chick. I mean, at least on my page. Like every once in a while I'll get a chick, but most of the time I'll get dudes that are like pissed off that I'm doing punk rock. This isn't punk rock. This isn't, like they have their own version of punk rock, which is fine. I mean, it's the community and like whatever. But like, I'm like, bro, if you just spent like half the amount of time of this, like trying to get laid, your life would be like a bajillion times happier. Like
So true. So true.
so much happier. Like, I'm like, why are you on my page? Take this energy somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Put that energy into like something that's going to be better for you or like
make you happy.
Useful. Like, come on.
Right. I'm like, bro.
It's like, yeah, especially something like that, because that's not doing anything. Like I get annoyed with myself like if I'm sitting around too long.
Oh yeah.
Like, man, I could have did so many things.
Oh yeah. Well, my followers too, I think a lot of times like my followers were like DM me and stuff, and then I'll like, it's like almost like I disappear. Like I keep posting online, but like for my like, I just don't want to be tied to this like the whole time, right? Like I do my posts and I'm hella consistent, probably more consistent than most, but like I put my time in and it's like a clock in, clock out, kind of situation. And then I'll be like, oh man, I haven't like engaged with like my core, like Fanta, like fandom, so I'll be like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, hey, sorry, da, da, da. And a few of my fans now were like, no, we know you're not a social media girly. And I'm like, okay, I think you guys know that. I don't know if I should like be upset for you, like, or like be upset or not. But like, I love that you know that about me. Like, I'm trying to live my life, and if I'm just glued to my phone all the time, like that's just not that great of a life to live, in my opinion. So anyways, it's funny that my fans even know that about me.
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, fans, depending on how much they want to know about like some of their favorite artists, like, yeah, they can dive deep, right? Like totally. I remember doing the same thing with like Blank and stuff. It's like, I need to know so much about these guys.
I know. That's why I like doing interviews like this. Like, it was funny. I just did one like maybe about a month ago with Jam. That's what their page is. And it was so fun. And I was telling them, I was like, yeah, I love doing stuff like this. And they're like, yeah, we were surprised that like you don't have hardly any podcasts. And I was like, you guys, I never get asked. I don't think you realize I'm somehow flying under the radar. I don't know why. I am though. I'm just flying under the radar. And I was like, no, I love stuff like this because I feel like it's a way to kind of, for people to just consume, more facts about who I am and like how I roll and like just stuff like that. It's hard to like correlate that with a 30-second video or a 60-second video. It's like you could like my music, but then how do and there's ways to do it and I try to do it, but it's still hard to like really connect with someone on just, again, like a 45-second video. You're like, that's a little hard. So I love doing stuff like this. So thanks for asking me, by the way. Thanks for discovering me and asking me.
Thanks for saying yes to it. Like, no, that's what I like too. Even me just like chatting with, you, other people, getting to like know you as a person, like your personality, right? It's fun. And like you said, with the fans, it's like they get to know you a bit more that way with just how you like tell stories, stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
It's good. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that stuff.
I know. It's so good. And just like where you were like what you were thinking about when you wrote something, right? Like for me, like music is a way for me to get out things that I'm dealing with, right? Like it's a way for me to process. And if that helps somebody, amazing. But like first and foremost, like I got to process whatever's going on with me, right? Like whether that be good, bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. But I really feel like too, at the end of the day, like going back to, it's like we have become way too sensitive, like way too sensitive. And I'm probably, if I'm going to be the person that's just like, again, I can't be bothered. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to do what I want. I'm not going to follow the rules if they're stupid. Like some rules aren't stupid, but like if they're stupid, they're stupid. Like why are we following something that doesn't make sense, Yeah. And like I think that creates like a little bit of flack. Like even for me, like a lot of my music is like kid friendly, right? Like there's not really any cussing in it. There's not any innuendos in it, and every time I always get flack for not using a curse word or not using, and I'm like, the realest punk thing is doing whatever the heck I want to do. Like that's the truest punk core right there. It's like, I don't care if you want me to use a curse word or not. I didn't want to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
that's pretty
like
much it.
that's what punk is to the core. It's like literally like what is the standard? Okay, yeah, we're gonna piss on the standard. Like that's literally what it is.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, yeah, you can't just be making it be like, oh, I should put a swear here instead. Like, no one thinks
Yeah.
like that. You don't
Also, it's
do.
like for me too, like I like and I think it's like I got more and more like this as I got deeper into like songwriting because like I started as a performer and then realized as a performer, oh, like all these other artists and performers, they're writing all their stuff. So like if you want like real emotion and real feeling in it, like you got to write you in it, right? And so then I started on this journey of songwriting and I just I just realized like how important that was and how like authenticity is like the only thing that matters. And I realized growing up that all the music I was listening to was like F this, F that, and da da da. And I'm 13 years old, like dropping F words in like a 50 Cent song, right? And I looked back on that and I was like, you know, I probably at 13, 14 years old, I probably shouldn't have been doing that. You know, like, you know, it's just like losing innocence and like, you know, a little bit. And so then I realized I just didn't want to be that influence to kids, right? Like, you know, I mean, look, like at the end of the day, like, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. Like, that's what I tell people all the time. It's just sometimes it comes out and it is what it is. But I can have some control in like my music and my art and my expression. And I just didn't want to influence kids that way. And then as I got deeper into songwriting, I started realizing, oh, like really? A lot of times, like, because curse words rhyme with all of the major rhyme schemes, it's kind of a cop-out. It's kind of a
Yeah.
cop out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just, I mean, so, like, there are some times that I'm like, okay, no, that word needed to be there. But like most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, it's like really just like, nothing else rhymed. We're just going to throw that in there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
think about what you're actually trying to say. Like, to me, I just took it upon myself. And all that to be said, I write with so many different artists and so many different things. Like, I put curse words in songs all the time because that's their truth and that's their art, right? But like, just for my own expression, like, I just always have felt like it was kind of a cop out. Like it was kind of a cop out. Like, what am I actually trying to say? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it definitely can be. Yeah, it's too easy to kind of just
it rhymes with everything. It literally rhymes with everything.
It's so true. And then yeah, like so with your songwriting, when like how long ago would you say that you started to kind of really get into it, like songwriting for yourself there?
Oh God. Yeah, I think I wrote like my first song when I was like 15 or something, but like, you know, can you count that?
Now,
That was garbage.
random question, because I always keep forgetting to ask this sometimes, but I
Oh
think
God.
it's hilarious to kind of get a peek at it. But like, do you remember like like the lyrics you first wrote ever?
Heck no. Heck
No,
no.
you don't
I
have it
blocked
written
out.
anywhere?
No. I mean, I do have it written somewhere. I'd have to go back and find it. And I know where I could find it. Like I went for a long time, like probably like 5 or 6 years of my songwriting journey. I hand wrote everything in a notebook. I did
Yep.
not I did not do the Google Docs. I didn't do the notes. I thought there was something like genuine and authentic about writing it down, you know,
Yeah.
like almost like the Bonnie McKee, like we're just scribbling out ideas, you know what I mean? And then eventually it was just like, I got all these notebooks. I can't keep carrying around these notebooks everywhere. I'm like, my
It's
bag
true.
is starting to get heavy, you know?
Yeah.
So I could go back into the notebook and find it, but yeah, there's no way. I've like probably subconsciously,
You're
intentionally
like, get
forgotten
out of
it.
here.
It was so bad. Yeah. So
Oh yeah,
bad.
it's fun. I still have a bunch of my old lyric books, and I'll randomly look through those. Sometimes I'm just like, "What is this?
What is this? Yeah. You know
Like,
what's
what were
great though
you
is
going through?"
yeah, right. It's great though if you look back and you're like, actually, this wasn't as there's some gold in here. Like this actually wasn't as bad as I thought it
That
was.
happens sometimes. I'm like, that one's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. So maybe I'd find some gold. I don't know. Who knows? But I still have like the notes list that I started for like concepts or like songwriting ideas or like song concepts and things like that. I still have the same one from like years ago, like
Oh yeah.
set probably like 6, 7 years ago, because I've had an iPhone this like whole time. Like I got an
Oh,
iPhone
okay.
3G. in like high school. So I've had the OG iPhone like the entire time.
Yeah.
So I do have that, and it's pretty lengthy now. Somebody was like, "You need to save that to another place because if that accidentally gets deleted, like you are so done." And I was like, "Oh, that's valid."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I
Mhm.
still have like my old iPod. I
Oh,
still have
same.
all my stuff still on there, and it's like the best thing I always say was like when you imported all your stuff, it'd be like one artist, but you had like five of them because like
Yeah,
the spelling was different for each
different on
one. I'm like,
everyone.
damn it!
Yeah,
You're trying to find an
you're
album, you
like,
got to go through all of them.
right. You're like Alanis Morissette. Does that have one R, two S's, two T's? Does that have two R's, one S, two
Yeah,
T's? Which
so
is
brutal.
it?
So brutal. Just oh,
You're
that
like,
was
I'm just
always the
gonna
worst
label this
part.
Alanis. Actually, just screw it.
Pretty
It would
much,
be the
yeah. No,
worst when you burnt the CD onto iTunes
oh,
and it didn't have the like music ID on it. So then you had to hand put in everything, and then you had to go to Google and try to find the artwork and oh man, that was brutal.
that was work. Yeah, it was always like unknown, unknown. You're like, oh,
Yeah, I'm like, frick.
gotta type it in. Damn it. But yeah,
So,
but you had to do it though. You couldn't just leave it. You're like,
the
I
people who
must.
left it, psychopaths,
Yeah, that's true.
psychopaths. That's crazy.
Just
Oh
blank.
my.
It's like, how do you not know what any of this is?
Yeah, they gotta for sure. If somebody that's listening to this podcast right now said, I just left the unknown, like I couldn't be bothered, I'm like, you're in prison somewhere. Guaranteed.
You're in
Guaranteed
prison.
you did something that put you in jail. Because there's no way that you just let that stand.
Oh, 100%. And I wanted to ask this. I'm assuming maybe they brought it up on the last podcast, but like when I was like when I was doing some research looking up and stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong, but so you were on American Idol.
I was.
Okay, so that's crazy. Because that was the other thing. I was like, oh my gosh, she was American Idol. What is this?
Yeah, I know. It's like a detailed history. It's crazy.
That's so crazy. So like I'm curious, how was that experience?
Yeah, it's American Idol is so interesting. So I had actually done The Voice right before American Idol.
Are you serious right now?
I'm dead serious, dude. And I did the whole thing. I was picked. There was like 120 of us or whatever, and I'm sequestered for like a month, and they dwindled us down to like 80. So it was The Voice was actually crazy because you would go to do like vocal lessons, or you would go to do like a practice with the band to go over your song, right? And then you'd come back and like 5 of your friends were gone. Like they were just packed up, sent, see you later,
Oh,
didn't
really?
get to say bye to anybody.
Oh,
And it
geez,
was
okay.
so stressful because every time you started going to things, you're like, I got to kill it. Like, this is the performance every single time. Like, it was so stressful. And they kept telling us, like, that season, like, I always felt like they were blowing smoke up our butt, but, like, they were like, they kept saying, like, you guys are, like, the craziest talented season we've had thus far. And we were, like, season.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what season was this? Who were the coaches?
The coaches were Kelly. It was Kelly's first season back. So I think it was Kelly, J Hud, Blake, and Adam.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think I want to say like 15 or 16, maybe. I don't know. It was so long ago, I can't really remember. But
What year
anyways,
was this though? Was it like right
this was like
before?
2018,
Okay.
maybe. And so anyways, so they keep telling us that like this is the craziest season we've had. Da, da, da. I'm like, and I do remember like sitting by the pool and people singing, and I'm like, why am I here? Like, these people are insane vocalists,
bet.
like insane vocalists. Like, I do remember being like, I don't understand why I'm still in this group. Like, genuinely.
What song did you perform?
I
at the
did this
audition?
really cool rendition of what's it called? It's a Khalid song. I did this like very piano breakdown version of it. I was still kind of doing more like pop music then with some like rock elements. Like again, like a very
Okay.
almost like Katy Perry. Like it was like I was doing my One of the Boys stuff. Like it would have like definitely guitars and things like that. So I did this like stripped version of what's that song? Anyways, can't remember. I can kind of remember the melody, but can't remember the song. But
Yeah.
so I did that. I did that version, and it was super sick. They really loved it. Did the whole show. I was like they do rounds every day when you're actually performing in front of the judges. So like day 1 is this people, day 2 is this people. So every night you would meet up and then they would say who's the next people to go to try out and audition. So on the 3rd day, all of us that were still at the hotel, we start getting texts from people being like, hey, we're all coming back. Only like 10 people auditioned. And that's pretty low for that day. And we were like, what? And they're like, yeah, all this stuff. People had a hard out, like, which was an earlier time. But then so-and-so had like a sty and they couldn't get a shot of one of the coaches. Like, I think Adam Levine had a sty in his eye. So they couldn't get like a good shot of him. So they basically like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Like, is it Daly, John Daly or whatever his name is, the host? He got
Carson?
stuck on the highway. He got stuck on the highway in like standstill traffic because some guy decided to make like a political statement and he was standing on one of the highway signs in LA. And so all the cops, police, firemen, and he gets caught up in all of that. So he didn't get there till like too late. It was like it was like Murphy's Law. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong. And so we get a text that's like, hey, we're all coming back. And we're like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. So we all get called up into a room. Everybody except for the people that already were supposed to perform that day. All the rest of us that hadn't been picked for a day yet get called up into this room. And I was like, oh, we're getting cut. Like, we're getting cut. Something's going down, right? So we get called up to the room. They call out 5 names. I'm one of 5 names. I get put in the adjacent room. The executive producer comes in and basically says, hey, just keep your noise and volume in check. But you 5 are going to perform with the group that was supposed to perform today. You guys are going to go, and everybody else in that room is getting cut. And it was like 40 people. It was like, and I was like, oh my God, people are going to be pissed. Because imagine, like, you're there for a month. You've been there for a month. And now you just get told, like, hey, you don't even get to audition. And they were basically like, the executive producer said, we weren't lying when we were saying you guys are like the most talented season. We ended up being the lowest number of people to try out before the teams filled up that point in The Voice history. So anyway, all that should be said, a little background story. I do the show. And they wanted me to do this like Snapchat The Voice, and whoever won the Snapchat thing got put into like the actual show. And I was like, honestly, you guys, I don't even use Snapchat. That sounds really whack to me. Like, I'm not doing it. So I didn't do that. And then about 6 months later, maybe 4 months later, somebody from casting at American Idol reached out to me and said, hey, we heard you weren't on The Voice. We were wondering if you wanted to be on American Idol. I was like, you guys, I just did a year of my life at The Voice, because it takes like a year.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm over reality TV. Like, I need a break. Like, maybe ask me a little bit later. So another like few months goes by. And usually on American Idol, if casting people, if they ask you and you say no, they're not going to ask you again. Like, that's it. They might ask you the next season, but they're not going to ask you for that season. They got hundreds of people that they can try to hit up, so they don't. And I ended up in that time frame meeting somebody just for coffee like once. And the casting people hit them up like 2 or 3 months after I had met up with them for coffee. Again, I didn't know them like that. I know them a lot better now, but I didn't know them like that then. And they were like, ooh, we don't really have anybody. So they just threw my name in there. They gave my name to the casting person. And I was like, what? Like, why would you do that? Like, we don't even know each other like that. Anyways, it must have been like meant to be, because the casting people were like, we've been trying to get this girl. Can you make it happen? And they ended up asking me twice, which is, to this day, I've never heard of anybody getting asked twice. And so they called me, the acquaintance of mine called me and was like, hey, we did something. I hope it's okay. But we gave your name to American Idol. We don't know you like this, but we gave your name to American Idol and they really want you. And I said, well, it doesn't hurt to chat with them again. So let me chat with them again and just let them know like what my bugaboos are, basically, like, what I'm doing and what I won't do. Yeah. And so I basically told them, yeah, like, hey, I can't be taken more than like 4 or 5 days. Because at the time I was doing this thing where I did 30 shows in 30 days. So I was like, I can't break that. And And also, I don't want to be signed into like a contract or anything. So that's my other bugaboo. And she was like, well, great. Like, neither one of those are happening unless you make it past top 40. And I was like, okay, cool. And I said, well, great. Well, like, when's the audition? She's like, in 2 days. And I'm like,
Okay.
what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, we want you to do an original, but you need to have 2 originals ready and 2 covers ready just in case. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyways, I got that all together. And then I told them I had to be like one of the first people to audition. And I was the 7th person to audition, I think that day, 7th or 6th. And I was kind of nervous because the first like 6 people had all gotten yeses. So I'm like, they're looking to give a no. They're definitely looking to give a no, and I'm now up to bat. So anyways, I just kind of did my thing, and I performed my song like how I would at a show, which is like I get like the crowd involved, and they ended up loving it. Like Katy Perry ended up singing it, which is crazy. And then I ended up on the show. But really my goal on the show was like, because I had learned from The Voice, like, you know what? Like my focus is really just to make connections with people and like really connect deep with people. And like, you know, my time on the show is going to be my time on the show, and that'll be whenever that needs to be. But my focus is that. And I made some really great connections that definitely like altered the course of a lot of my career. So it worked out.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy.
I was just so curious on like the behind the scenes of like a show like that. Like that's wild.
It's a lot of like hurry up and wait. It's a lot of like hurry up, we need you. And then they get you, and then you're like, okay, you need to wait here. And then you wait for like an hour, and then you're like, okay, now you're on. So you're just got to be like ready at any moment. Like I can't tell you like how many times during Hollywood Week, like people think Hollywood Week is like staged. It is not. Like everybody's getting sick. You're on no sleep. I think like for those 5 days, I think maybe I had like 7 or 8 hours of sleep. I was like so spent. And like I remember one time for like the duets, I think I got 45 minutes of sleep. And so it was kind of like when you're in the room, like waiting for you to go perform, you're trying to get like every piece of shut eye that you can. But then at the same time, you have to wake up and within enough time to re-warm up your voice. Because every time you go to sleep, your voice is like going into rest mode. And so you got to re-warm it up, get it ready, right, whatever. So I was pretty smart. At least I thought I was smart. And I took a pillow from the hotel. I stole the pillow from the hotel, stuffed it in my backpack. And I can't tell you, you wouldn't believe, I mean, people just like weren't raised right. I can't tell you how many times somebody just stole my pillow and was sleeping with it. I'm like, really? Excuse me. I'm like, is that your pillow? And they're like, no, but I thought it was just what? You thought it was a community pillow? I don't want your nasty drool. I don't know if you're sick. I don't like, what in the world? I'm like, take your nasty breath somewhere else and go grab your own pillow. Like, God, you know, it was just like, who raised you? Like you were raised by wolves. Anyway, so I can't tell you how many times that happened. And I'd have to keep swapping my pillow out because people would be using it and all this stuff. It was gross. But anyways, I would just sleep anywhere I can. So they definitely caught me a few times on camera sleeping, and I was like, dang, you guys,
that's hilarious.
On one of the episodes at the very end, I was like, oh yes, they didn't catch me sleeping. At the very end, I was like, you'll see me on the pillow, like just knocked. It's so great. Like, but then somebody would wake you up and be like, hey, just so you know, in like 5 minutes, you have an interview with Ryan Seacrest. You're like, 5 minutes? Like, what? You know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You're like, okay, let me put a sentence together.
That's wild. And like, you know, going on a show like that too, these like artists, these celebrities, like how were all those people? Were they all pretty friendly and everything to everyone?
Yeah, for the most part. I think, you know, Lionel was really sweet to us. He would always turn around and just like kind of give like industry knowledge. And I always thought that was like so kind. You know, it was just so kind of him to just be like, you didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like people know like what it is and what it ain't with these shows, you know, like nobody's really expecting anything, but he always kind of like took the time to like turn around and like, okay, guys, like just remember like da 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 da. And like, I was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's great. So, but yeah, for the most part, they were pretty chill. Katy Perry was pregnant. So like anytime she was like maybe having a bad day or an off day, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna chalk it up to you're pregnant. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. That's true.
like if
That's a
I
good
was
cop
pregnant
out.
and had to be on the show, I'd be pretty upset too. So
Yeah, that's true. And like, so with your, because yeah, your YouTube, all that stuff, when you started to take off there, was it kind of during that time too when you were on like The Voice and, or was that kind of after all that stuff?
it was after. So I think I had maybe like 3,000 followers on Instagram when I did American Idol. The way it works on American Idol is you need your part of the episode to be aired and not montaged. So montage is when they clump a bunch of you guys together in like a 3-minute series, right? You want your entire 5-minute episode to be aired because then they'll put that on their socials and then that's how you gain a big
Ah,
following, right? So the only part of mine that didn't get montage was my initial audition. So from that initial audition, I think I gained like 3,000 followers on Instagram, but that was it. That was like
hmm,
the only thing I gained. And I was like grinding. Like I was like, cool, I'm going to use this to like really catapult and like nope. Like definitely nope. So I think if anybody's going to do the show, they have to keep that in mind. Like you really it's not American Idol today versus American Idol like during Kelly Clarkson's time. It's more about the story. They want to do the whole story thing, so like you really got to have like an angle there that you're really pushing. And I could have had an angle, but I just wasn't really to like throw some people in my life under the bus. So
that's fair.
I just didn't want to do that. Yeah. So all that to be said, it's not really about like as much about the talent and about all of that. It's really about the story. So you all the people that got crazy airtime, they all got crazy airtime because they had a ridiculous story. Like just really like heart, rip your heart out kind of vibe, like that they could
Yeah.
build like the show around. So anyway, so all that to be said, I think back in the day, like that was like if you were talented and you could really sing, you were going to get like more of the spotlight. But if you're not getting the spotlight on the show, then like really your main goal to go on that show is really just to connect with other people that hopefully in the future you could either write with, do content with, produce, like things like that. So, and that's kind of what I focused on. And then I was already doing TikTok before I went on the show. I actually was trying to convince American Idol to get onto TikTok. And they were like, no, we're not getting on a TikTok. We can't with the ABC network and the Disney network because TikTok's owned by China. And they were like still trying to figure out all of that stuff at the time. And I was like, you guys are crazy. We have some of the most talented people here ever. TikTok's like exploding right now. Like we should be the first people on it and it would like explode. And they were like, no, we're not doing it. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, and we're not allowing any of our contestants to do it. And I was like, well, screw you guys. I'm doing it. So I did it. And like every video of mine popped off. Like, and I think I had like 10K followers on TikTok at the time. So I was like already kind of getting into my TikTok thing. And then I met other people there that were kind of on that same vibe, the social media vibe. And then after the show, I just kept grinding. So all of it kind of came after the fact. It really
Huh,
didn't, I mean, maybe
interesting.
inadvertently because I was doing content with some of those people from the show, but for the most part, like I only gained like 3,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow. Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's kind of funny that way, right? You think, oh, yeah, this is really going to help me out. But then you're like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't
Yeah,
work out the way I
totally.
wanted it to.
I know. I mean, I was glad at least I got something. Like some people, they went all the way to top 40 and they weren't even montaged. They didn't get a single spotlight. And you're talking about like I can't remember if this is accurate, so somebody should fact check me, but I think something like 400,000 people like tried out for that season
Oh
and
my
we were the
God.
top 40. So we're talking about what? 0.1%? 1%?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
0.1%, because like 400 would probably be like 1% or something. Or anyways, I'm a musician. I'm not a mathematician. Anyways, all that to be said, imagine like beating out 400,000 people, and then you don't get a single moment on TV.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So I was just happy that I at least got something. I was like, I'm just grateful I had a moment, and they did montage me in some other things. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I had a little bit of a spotlight, but there were friends of mine there that they didn't get they didn't get a single spot at all.
Jeez, that's so
Yeah.
wild.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Yeah. And so like have you, because you're in Los Angeles, have you just like always been there? the entire time?
Um, yeah, so I grew up in Southern California. I've kind of lived everywhere in Southern California, like
Mm.
from LA all the way out to like basically Palm Springs. So I've kind of lived like everywhere in between. Right now I live just outside of LA because I don't know, like during the pandemic, my lease was up and I was like, it's getting kind of weird out here. Let me just like hang out with my family, like, kind of thing. So now I live outside of LA and it's been actually pretty great because half the time I'm on tour and like half the time I'm gone or like traveling. So it's been good because then I don't have to pay crazy rent prices for me to only be there like 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, true enough. I guess I'm
So
curious, like growing up in California, because obviously, California for the longest time has always kind of just been a hub for like entertainment, right?
totally.
So growing up, was that always kind of just, did you always know you were going to chase that like entertainment, like if it was music or
Right.
something along the
Yeah.
lines? Or was there something else before that you were like, oh, I'm just going to be like a normal job? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think when I was like younger, I was such a tomboy that I was like, nah, like I can't be a performer and I can't be a singer. Like that's way too girly. I think like
yeah.
that's definitely how my attitude was younger. And then I switched schools a lot cuz like my mom would like move us into a better area and then I would switch schools to that area, right? So every time I switched schools, I kind of got to like reinvent myself a little bit and I
Hmm.
would become a little bit girlier and a little bit girlier and a little bit girlier. Like not too crazy. I mean, I still played like sports my whole life, but like enough where I could be like, maybe I could sing now. Cause I knew I could sing and I knew I like liked singing and loved singing, but like was a little too chicken to like just be like, I'm gonna be a singer, and make it my identity kind of thing. And so anyways, eventually I changed schools from junior high to high school and then I took choir. And I almost didn't take choir because she almost had auditions. And I was like, is she gonna have auditions? I'm gonna take
No
art.
way.
Like I'm not. I ain't doing this, kind of thing. And she didn't have enough people to like say no to anyone. So then I ended up in choir. And that was really like my start. Like I tried out for my first solo there. And like that really got me the confidence to whatever. But like before that, I knew I loved music and wanted to do music. And I was like, you know what? Like music supervisor, like that's really cool. Like placing like songs in TV and film, like that's really dope. Or like I knew there was something in music that I wanted to do. But then also when I went to college, I had like I went for like a music degree, but then I also had like a backup minor and it was a math minor because I actually really love math. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and so I wanted to be like a statistician, like basically like run stats and numbers.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to the math orientation and I looked around and like, again, I had dyed hair, like a nose ring, like probably wearing a flannel and a beanie and like whatever. And like all the math nerds in there were like wearing the same Reebok, like New Balance shoes from like 3 years ago and like khaki pants and a button up or like some tattered shirt that they never got rid of. And they were looking at me like, who the heck is this? And then I was like, maybe this isn't my crowd.
That's funny.
Maybe I'm not fitting in this. I don't know. And so then I was like, I'm just going to drop the math minor and just like go all in. You know what I mean? Like, why even have a backup? Like, if you have a backup, then the back of your mind, you're always like, well, I got that backup, instead of just going full force with what you really want to do. So then that
Yeah,
was that.
that's true. That's
So,
crazy. And then I seen a post you did too, having to do with like the punk rock girls or the women there, like back in the
yeah.
day. So it's so funny because I feel like, especially these days, you're a perfect example of you're seeing a lot more of that now, like a lot more just like solo punk female
Yeah.
artists or like bands led that way, which is
Totally.
awesome because I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed like Paramore probably really blew that up at the time when they came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
But you're seeing lots like you, Charlotte Sands, like there's so many, like Taylor Acorn. It's
Yeah.
just it's
Oh,
like,
I
oh,
love
there's so
Taylor.
much good
So
music.
great.
Yeah, oh, I'm a huge fan of hers. She's
Yeah.
awesome. But
She's
yeah,
so
no, it's
cool.
awesome to see more and more of that within that genre,
Yeah.
because before it was, predominantly like always just guys usually. There'd be the
Totally.
odd.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And it,
awesome.
well, and I think one of the things that's super hard about bands is like the band dynamic. I mean, how many times do we see bands they just like they get in a tiff And then you're like, are we going to get music? Are we not going to get music? You know, like the band dynamic is it's tough. Like it's really hard to like maintain like good vibes, you know? And so like I've always loved bands and I've always wanted to like be in a band, but I think I recognized that like a lot early on, like super early on, like somebody just has to make the executive decisions. And a lot of times people are in a band dynamic. It's all of you collectively making a decision, right? And then you being like, hey, it's 3-1. We're going to go this way. And then one person's pissed off about it, right? So I think I just realized, you know what? I'm going to just be the CEO and then hire the band members. But like, I'm really like a super loyal person. So like, I really like working with the same people continually. Like once we got a vibe going and I'm like, oh yeah, like they get what I'm on and like whatever, like I keep going back to the same people all the time because I think the synergy within a band, a lot of that has been lost because now when people go on tour and artists go on tour, they hire whatever band is available, you know, and they lose like the synergy and energy of like people who have played together a really long time. There's something to be said about that. So for me, like I always try to like, especially if I get like in the past, I've been like the opener, right? So like I'm just solo playing, I'm running my tracks, I'm playing guitar, I'm like trying to rip my own solos and then singing and running around on stage and like all this stuff, one woman show. But like future Geena for like headlining stuff is definitely going to be band and it's gonna rock your face off. Like, and people are going to be locked in and people are going to be playing crazy solos. And like, I'm bringing back like the band energy, even though like I'm technically a solo act, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. No, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great. Yeah. And I'm so ready for like you said, there's so many female kind of frontline like rockers coming out. And I think there's such a need for that, you know, like it's just
100%.
It's cool and like, you know, it's kind of like that thing like where you see like a chick guitarist and she's like ripping and you're like, dude, there's not a lot of chick guitarists and she's like ripping. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it almost even if you're not that good as a chick on a guitar, if you grab a guitar and you can somewhat play, people are like super impressed with you. So 100%. I just think it's cool to like bring that back and like, you know, I think a lot of times in the music industry, why we see like more like, you know, there's certain parts of the industry that's like a little bit more like male dominated, right? Like producers, like it tends to be more dudes. Mixing engineers, mastering engineers tend to be more dudes. Like guitar players tends to be more dudes, right? But like in looking into that, I've actually realized more and more, I think it's actually because like a lot of guys are super curious. Like I can't tell you how many times I'm walking around with my guy friends and they like see something and they're like, knocking on it. We're like, what do you think that's made out of? And like, you know, and I'm like, I couldn't give two rips about what that's made out of. Like, yeah, it's plastic, but like, what do you think the composition is? You know, like, I'm just like, I couldn't give a rip, you know, but there's something to be said about that. And I think it's curiosity. And I think those fields are very curious. Like it takes a curious mind to be like, man, like why is that guitar pedal creating that sound? And like, how can I pair these guitar and like just, you know, tinkering with it. And like guys love to tinker, you know? And so for a lot of girls that like come up to me and like ask me for advice and be like, how do I get better at guitar? Or how do I become a better producer? And like all these things, I tell them every single time, you have to be curious. You have to be curious. And if you're not willing to be curious, then go into something that's about feeling. You know, which is artistry, which is songwriting, which is, you know what I mean? But the thing that you got to understand as a chick is like, you can go into those fields, but they don't pay the most. So if you want to get paid the most, you got to get curious. If you don't want to get paid the most and you just want to go with like what you feel like maybe your natural instinct is, then go into the other fields. But you got to understand like the name of the game is the people who are the most curious, they're making the most money.
It's true. Yeah. I never really thought about it like that, but you're pretty right on point there.
I'm telling you, like, I mean, how many times have you been with guys and they're like, what do you think that's made out of?
But I feel like curiosity is also a reason why guys die sooner.
This is true. This is so true. This is why
men.
I
wonder what would happen if I did this, and then
I wonder what would happen if I jumped off the roof with a motorbike.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, oh my god, yeah. If you get too many men together, they definitely do some stupid stuff, and you're like, this is why women live longer than men, but
This is 100% true. They'll like each other on too. I bet you can't do that. I bet you I can.
right.
And then,
Yeah,
then bad stuff happens.
totally.
But it's true.
So
Yeah.
true.
That like, the more I think about it too, it's like, there's this sound. I'm like, how did they get that sound? And then
See?
like, I want to kind of try and figure it out. Right. So it's always
Yeah.
like, especially with guitar, it's like tones and all this stuff. Like,
Yep.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, unless you're curious about it, like you're not going to go far with it. So
No, and
that's the thing.
I definitely know about myself. I'm not that curious. Like I just want to be told what it is. So like that's just the truth. I'm like, what's that guitar sound? Okay, cool. Who can I call that knows already what that guitar sound is and they can just tell me what it is? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Can
just trying
you
to
get me that guitar sound?
yeah, like I'm just trying to get to the end of it because I'm like clock's a ticking. Like I got 100 other things to run. Like the multitasking brain in my head is like I don't have time to sit here for 3 hours and try to figure out what this guitar tone is. But I know I probably know somebody who will know it. And let me just
Yeah.
hit up one of my buddies and be like, "What's this? What are the settings for this?"
Yeah,
And then
it's
take
so
it from there.
it's so true. Even like with my wife too, like certain things with like technology and stuff. I've showed her so many times on certain things, but she's like, no, just do it.
You just do it. Yeah.
Just finish it.
You're
Get
so
it
good
working.
at that, honey. You're so
Exactly.
good at that.
That's
I'm just
what
like,
it is.
I
Yeah.
don't do it as well as you do it.
100%. It's just so funny. But
Right.
she's the same way. She's just like, yeah, I just want to know. Just
Right.
have it work. That's it. I'm good.
I can't tell you how many times my boyfriend's like asked me like, so like what do you think that guitar like what kind of wood is that? And I'm like, I don't know, ask
What
him.
kind of
Like
wood?
I,
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. And my boyfriend's a carpenter, so like he's insanely curious. Like just
So
on
it's
another
really
level of
okay.
like, oh yeah, he always wants to know. And I'm like, babe, like talk to that amongst your friends because I'm not the one.
I'm not the one to talk to about that.
Not the one.
Oh, that's hilarious. And I wanted to ask you too with your album there, Y2K. So when you did that one, which is really good by the way,
Thank you.
like the writing process for all those songs, like did you go in kind of knowing the vibe you wanted to do? Or was it kind of just did it come together as you were writing everything?
Yeah, so I was kind of like I was kind of doing like more and more self-discovery as like an artist. And really one of the things that I'm not the best at and I've tried to focus on I think my personality is more like if I have a weakness, I just ignore it and then I just triple down on what I'm good at. Like it's kind of like almost like a Gary Vee approach. It's just like who cares trying to get better at your weak parts? Just like know what you're good at and then triple down on that. But one of my weaknesses that I think was actually I needed to actually get better at was I'm not a person like it's kind of going back to curiosity. Like I'm not a wonderer. Like I don't sit and like ponder and wonder. And like a lot of that for me stems from, you know, growing up with a single parent. Like you don't have time to wonder. Like there's a crisis and you immediately need to address it and move on to the next crisis, right? And just get it done. And we're just moving through the things so that we can get out of a terrible situation, right? And so, but when it comes to art, you really need to sit and ponder about like, why are you doing something? Like, what is the why? You know, and I finally like I kind of realized it with Dylan's dad that I had just like so deeply missed like millennial punk music. Like I had just missed it. And nobody was doing it and I didn't know why nobody was doing it. And I was like, I want to bring this back and I want to bring it back in a way that is the millennial style, which is the like ID gaff kind of like vibe. It's just like, I don't give a rip about if I hurt your feelings. I don't give a rip. Like, I just don't. Like, I mean, like I do, but I don't. Like people closest to me, obviously I don't want to be hurting their feelings.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying? There's something to be said about the edge of being like, look, you're either going to vibe with this or you're not going to vibe with it. Right? Like that's just, and if you do, cool. Like welcome to the family, like welcome to the family, welcome to the fandom. But if you don't, keep it moving. You know, like
Yeah.
we're not really worried about 10 people who don't care about it, right? So I just wanted to bring that energy back and also realizing that I'm a millennial. Like that's also why I want to it's authentic and it's true to me. And so with Dylan's dad in Normal Life, like that kind of came with the like almost like the confirmation of, oh yeah, like people are recognizing that that is authentic to me, like in a very organic way, you know? So anyways, all that to be said, I was like, cool. How do I make this like a just millennial, like Y2K, like piece of art, you know?
Yeah.
And I think when you like run down the album, it gives like a little like taste and flavor of like each one of those things. Like for instance, like Just Myself is very much like Alanis Morissette. It's very hand in my pocket. It's very ironic. It's that. Like it's my almost like take on that. Dylan's dad is obviously Stacy's mom, like tribute, right? Like it's a
Yeah,
throwback
I love
to
how you did like I love how you flipped it. Now there's that vibe. It's
totally.
great.
Yeah, exactly. And like Just in Case is like is almost like the only exception. 6/8 time, very similar vibe, like guitar, acoustic guitar heavy. It's just like each one of those songs, almost like even Bum, like Bum has like an all-star, like hey now you're an all-star,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it has like those like a LFO, like it has that vibe to it. And so it's just kind of like all the things that I loved growing up as a kid. I was like, how do I take this and make it to like today? You know, like what is the modern spin on that? And then also just like put in the lyrics like what I'm actually like dealing with or what I've dealt with in my life, right? Like Dylan's dad was this like truly, it was actually funny. Like it was this moment of my boyfriend and I like having this conversation of, we started realizing that on TikTok, like these people would do like videos with their parents. Like they would be in their 20s, like 25, and then their parents would be like, you know, 50, like late 40s, early 50s or whatever. And we would watch these videos and be like, oh, the 25-year-old's really good looking. And then we'd be like, oh, well, the 50-year-old is kind of good looking. And we're like, when did this happen? Like, we didn't know, like, when did the switch happen? We're like, both was cool. Like both, we were like, we could go either way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And both is appropriate. You know what I mean? We were just like, what is going on? It was this conversation we kept having over and over again and like laughing to ourselves about it. And then I went into the studio like maybe like 2-3 weeks after that. And I was like, I have this concept about writing a hot dad song. And it's kind of very Stacy's mom and like whatever. And then I sat down and I had like a friend in college that had a really hot dad. And we kind of wrote it all about him. And we have a really great follow up to it too as well, which is great because she also had hot brothers. So we were like, oh, like we wrote a song called Best Friends Brother, right? Yeah. So it's, but it's all playing into that. And so it's just like taking these moments of like, and I tend to do things with humor. I definitely like, I deal with trauma in humor. I deal with like day-to-day life in humor. Like that's my spin on the world and on music. Like I feel like most of the people that I know that have been through trauma, they're usually pretty like humorous about it. They're usually pretty funny about it. And they're like, for me, like, I don't want to sit here. If I sat here and like regurgitated all the stuff that I went through, I don't want to sit here and cry about things all the time. Like who wants to, I mean, maybe there's some people that just want to sit and cry. I personally am like, it's done. It's over with, dealt with, like whatever. Now it's just me making little funny jabs and jokes about it, you know? So
totally.
That's how I always deal with everything in life. And so there's always this like humorous thread in my music. Like even Just Myself, it's just totally ironic that it's like I just want to be myself, and like I don't really like drinking. Like I've never been like a big drinker, but like I always felt pressured to drink because everybody I know drinks. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell the bartender to give me a short amount of Diet Coke because it'll look like a rum and Coke, but I do like Diet Coke. So then people won't ask me about like, oh, are you not drinking or like whatever. Like I don't even have to get into that conversation, or just the irony of the fact that like pink has never been my favorite color, but then I dyed my hair pink. Like it's just like just constant. My life is like one big contradiction all the time. It's like there's one thing happening, but simultaneously something is contradicting it at the same time. And I just wanted to put all of that with a millennial Y2K feel so that all of us elder millennials or elder emos have a place to live. You know, it's like, man, we haven't gotten like new music in this vibe for like 20 years. Like, good Lord,
totally.
give it to us, you know?
Yeah, even your album cover there too. It immediately made me think of like Simple Plan.
Yeah,
I was just like,
totally.
oh my god, 100%.
I love
got
that.
the vibe.
Dude, I shot that in my bedroom in here. in the
Oh,
studio.
did you? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I literally got like a pink carpet from Amazon and like stapled it to my wall. And then all the stuff you see in it, like the old stereo, the Game Boys, the PSPs, the CDs, like everything you see in there is stuff that I just grew up with. And I just
Oh,
put
you
it in
just still had it.
like lava lamps. Yeah, like all of that stuff. It was like I still had it. I had the
That's
old cell
awesome.
phones, like all of that stuff. It was just literally it's from it. Well, this is the studio, but like across the hall is my bedroom, and it was just from my bedroom.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it was
Worked
super
out
cool.
well.
Yeah, I was like, thank God I kept this stuff. Who would have thought I needed it all these years
Oh, of
later?
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, funny if you're going for like that nostalgia feel. Yeah, it works out really good.
I know. Yeah, like one of the lyric videos for Girl Math, I actually set up like what was it? It was a Nintendo. I think it was my Nintendo DS, maybe, or maybe it was my PSP or something. But I set it up with like the lava lamp and all this stuff, and then my art, like my visual kind of like designer guy, he put all the text for the lyrics in the little square box of it all. So it
Nice.
looks like so 8-bit and like it just looks so cool. And I was like, man, I almost didn't get rid of the corner. I almost was like, I need to keep it just forever, just
Yeah,
for,
no doubt.
whatever I need it for. I still have the couch too. It's in my closet.
Oh, that's awesome. No, yeah, that's great. That's hilarious. And yeah, before I let you go, Gina, I'm curious on this because this is one, especially you being in California, because like I feel like all artists just go to California for shows. You know what I mean?
Right. True.
Do you have any like bucket list concerts for artists that you haven't seen yet?
Oh, I've never seen Alanis, and I've always wanted to. Always have wanted to. I don't even care. Like, like back when she was in her heyday, I was probably a little bit too young to go to an Alanis show, and that wasn't like my mom or dad's favorite artist. So, like, how was I going to get there? But I've always wanted to see her. I've never seen a Blink show, honestly. I've
That's
never
crazy to
seen.
me.
That's crazy. I know. I've never seen Blink. I've seen Paramore like tons of times, and I would honestly say I want to see Paramore again, just because I love Paramore. That Paramore's definitely in my top 5 favorite bands.
Yeah.
I'd also would love to see Heart. Like
Oh, that'd be a good one.
she's like they're still killing it. Like both of
Yeah.
them. Like homie's still ripping on guitar. Like she's still singing her like face off. Like and I'm like, dang, they're like I think they're like 70 years old. Still just like
Yeah.
rocking. It's crazy. People that are maybe like more modern right now, like I'm really on like a Hot Mulligan kick right
Oh,
now. I don't know
okay.
if you've heard of Hot Mulligan.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been like comparing me to like Stand Atlantic. And so I
Oh,
started
okay.
listening
Yeah.
to them too. Yeah, I started listening to them too. So those are probably like 2 like today artists that I would really like want to go see as well.
Nice.
Trying to think of who else I like
I
haven't
still
seen.
can't
I've
believe
never
you haven't
even
seen
seen like
Blink.
Sum
That's so
41. I love Sum
oh.
41. I know.
Well, now it's too late. You're
I know.
done.
I know. I know. Maybe they'll. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, who knows? But all that to be said, like there's a lot of people in that space that I just haven't even
Crazy.
seen. Yeah.
I'm pretty surprised by some of those names, just because like California, I would assume like you would have gone to like a bunch of those.
I know. Like I went to like part of a Warp Tour, but I really went and saw like Paramore. And then my friend that I was with, that I went with, like we saw Paramore, and then she was like, "All right, let's go." And I was like, "Wait, like I want to see the rest of the band." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the bands here. And she was kind of, I think, I don't know if it was her parents or whatever. We were kind of young when we went. So it was like, hey, you guys can't be here with all this madness. But yeah, there's so many bands that I like really didn't get to see growing up because either was like my mom's like, nah, we're not doing that. Or just even having the money to go to like see bands. Again, like I mostly grew up for like a
True.
good portion of my life, grew up with a single parent. So it was either like by the time I got into high school, it was like, oh, you can pay to go. And then you're like, ooh,
Yeah, fair.
You're like, I gotta pay. Okay.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. But
Awesome.
I've been
No,
wanting to actually see Paramore again because I haven't. I mean, I haven't seen them in like a hot sec, and it was like almost like every 3 years I would go and see them. 4
oh
years.
wow.
Yeah, like I'm big Paramore fan. I actually bumped into Haley Williams at the Frothy Monkey, and I almost crapped, threw up, and died. But
I
was like,
think
yeah, I was like, oh, that's Haley Williams.
oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's so
And I normally don't get starstruck, like, ever. Like, even when I met Katie, I didn't, like, Katie was like a huge inspo for me, especially growing up, and like I didn't even really I was a little starstruck, but like I definitely was keeping my cool because I was like, oh, I want to work with you. So if I give you all this fan energy, like, you're not going to want to work with me. You know, you're going to think I'm a fan.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And so I'm trying to get you to see me as a fellow, not a fan, you know? So anyway, so all that to be said, when I saw Haley, I was like, oh man, I was going to buy her coffee and just be like, hey, like, you know, just kind of nonchalant, be like, I'm just so appreciative of you and like, whatever. But she was with her like mom or maybe or something. So I was like, you know, and this has happened a couple times with her where I'm like, frick, she's with family. God dang it. You know,
come by yourself. Come on.
God, just be alone for once.
Yeah.
And then I'm like creepily just me and her alone. She's like, okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
She's like, get this girl away from me. Where's my security guard? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'd be the same way. But even there's certain people that you're just like, is this real right now?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's definitely I've had some interesting like fan interactions, you know. For the most part though, like my fans are awesome. Like the Fanta fandom goes strong and like they're so great. I've definitely had some weird encounters where people like in photos and stuff want to do like weird things. But, you know, for the most part, I think because I'm like so an upfront person, like I'm like, nah, we're not doing that, but maybe we could do this. You know what I mean? I'll just like give an alternate, you know what I mean? I'll just be upfront. But like, it's pretty rare that I get somebody that's like, you know, acting a little crazy. Yeah, acting a little out there. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah. But for the most part, like all my fans, they have like, they're just gems. They're just like, they just have such good hearts and they're just like the sweetest. And I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are so great. Yeah. So they're the best.
Oh, that's great. That's perfect. Well, once again, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. This was a blast chatting with you. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And before you go, if you want to plug anything for yourself, stuff coming up, your socials, all that, go for it.
Yeah. So socials is just my name, which is a mouthful, but it's Geena Fontanella. But all you have to do is type in my first name, Geena, Geena. And then honestly, I'm like one of the first ones that pop up. Just put an F. I'm the only one that's there. At least with like a long Italian name, you get that, right? Yeah. But yeah, I actually just announced today, which I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but I had just announced that I'm dropping my next single, Fightin For My Life, on March 7th. So go check that out. I'm going to have a pre-save link and everything. Go pre-save it if you get the chance to before this podcast comes out. But if you don't get the chance to pre-save, just go stream it. So
beautiful. Awesome. Yeah, everyone check that out. Perfect. Yeah, we'll finish up here and then we can just chat quick before I let you go. And then, we're good to go. Awesome.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course.